This conference will now be recorded.
Happy Monday. So today is Monday, March 22nd. And as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So obviously the hot stock of today so far is SPRT. We are starting off 9 o'clock, over 48 million shares being traded already. So the first thing that tells us is that a lot of prints doesn't really mean a lot of prints. You need to see something that happens over a consistent period of time. For instance, the building that we've been seeing pretty much since it pushed up into that 9 level, and then we've been getting this consolidation since. So we just had a pretty big sell-off. But again, this is why I'm bringing this up. If we look at when we came back down to that 8, yes, this looks like a ton of selling at 825, 824, 823, 8. I mean, it looks like a lot, but it really isn't in comparison to the amount of buying that we've been seeing. If it lets me go back, which I think it should. Okay, so coming in, you can see right before that happened, we're getting beautiful off-level prints. We had some that started at 807, and then coming in, you can see 810, 819, 820 executed a huge order coming into there. So overall, the buying by far outweighs the selling that we've seen coming into this. But if they're building this much during the pre-market, we also have to think, what is it going to look like once the market opens? And at this point, they really, the amount that they're building for really shows that we should be able to drop down really to basically this 7 level. We have a really strong support line that's right there. At that 7, you can see we came into that consolidation, was not able to break the first flag that came into that 7. So the 7 is a very strong level. So bringing it back down to there, showing us that there is a lot of people there, and we have to be ready for it. But at the same time, do we have enough buying for this thing to just take off? We do. So it's really going to be based off of the next bar that we see, whether they're going to continue building underneath to then bring it up, or if they're going to be finished during the pre-market and then go. So we have to understand there's two situations that are they're very possible at this moment. They both basically have a pretty good chance of happening. But based off the amount of buying, based off the selling that we're seeing coming into this, I would really like to see a pullback first and then a trigger back up for us to really explode past that 8 level where all that building is happening. Next thing is RLX. So I like this. First of all, you could go both ways on it, but it looks like right now we're in a trend towards the upside. But if we actually look, it started off with a lot of selling, and it's not going to let me go back. Oh yeah, yes it is. Okay, we can see as it came down into that 13 level, huge amount of selling. Our reaction was buying, and especially off-level buying. So what that's telling us is that on this shorter term, we're looking for that move up above. But you can see shorter term selling coming in underneath at 1309. So overall, the bigger market maker is showing us selling, and especially you can see even more of it coming into that 1320. So they are getting out of a lot of their position. Again, you do have to keep in mind it's trading almost 15 million shares a lot, so you're going to need to see a lot for it to be able to move a lot, especially having thicker orders around those levels. So overall, really, we're looking for a little bit. I wish it would have went a little bit more than that 1350 level, but either or a little, we're still gonna need to see a little bit more of a push up before we're going to be looking for that trigger back down, and then obviously 1250, big level for us to be able to break, really isn't that strong from what we can see. I mean, it's okay, but it's not as strong as that, as it seems, just because it kind of floated around there. But overall, really what we're going to be looking for is that double bottom coming into about 1125. DYI AI, excuse me. So this is another one that is shortable as well. So we made this push coming in early this morning. You can see starting right about that 830 point. Unfortunately, I did not see the prints that came in from there. I'd have to assume because of how parabolic it was, we didn't get a lot because the orders were thin, didn't get a ton that was going on. But we want to take a look at what's happening during this consolidation. You can see 750, a little bit of selling. There's just not really enough from where we are. We're not seeing enough bigger prints within this consolidation to really tell us where that money flow is going. So what we want to do is we want to see some type of controlling print. 750, obviously psychological level. Would love to see it come up to there and give us some type of big show of hand in order for us to make our game plan out. But at this moment, we just don't have that yet. Okay, holding 7 decently, but we can see it broke past 7 easily last time. So 7 really isn't as strong. 750 is definitely going to, just show a lot. And you can see that, coming back up, it just wasn't able to break. So 750 psychological level. But at the end of the day, we need a bigger show of hand down here for us to really see where this is going to be looking to go. Because at this moment, based off how volume's coming, it could just die out based off that original move. So either way, show of hand, and then we're going to go from there. But huge range, especially it being huge range and being able to trade and not need shares, so being able to go short and long with it. Now we move over to our side list. So first thing going to be looking at this is this TBA. So the reason I like this is as we came up to 12 the first time, you can see we got some decent buying that came into it. But overall, the selling coming there, I mean, is this going to be enough? We're talking about 5 prints followed by some pretty good prints coming into that 1190. First of all, volume's going to have to pick up, trading's going to have to pick up, but it's a little bit mixed coming in around this area. So I like it just because we came into that 12 and had those prints, and in this scenario with the amount of trading, that actually is a decent amount, especially with this reaction here. So pulling back on building, I'm going to be looking for it to go back to that 12, but at the end of the day, it's going to need to see some type, more volume, more trading coming in. That's why it's on our side list. Next thing looking at is, that's going to be wrong, SNCA. All right, so another one where the reason I like this is because we get these trades, these cheaper trades, and we see it all the time where they go into money time in the pre-market and then they end up dying out. But this is another pattern that we do see quite often. And what ends up happening is we get a gap up in it and it comes right back down. But when it came right back down, we're starting to see buying within that consolidation. So a break pass right here where we have those huge resistance points at 240, you can see both times popped up, went right back down, popped up, went right back down. Okay, having those there, it really gives us the opportunity on break of that 240 to be able to get back up to where we are near those highs. Because if you look at the actual daily, I mean, they've been building for a long time here around these highs. Okay, we pushed up over 2, we came all the way back to build, and now we're really, we're back up to over 3. So we've made it above there. It set a new precedent, and we're going to be looking for that buying to come in, shorter term buying, and that trigger for us to be able to come back up towards where those highs are. And then we have SBBP. All right, this is another one that is shortable as well as obviously you're able to go long. It's on the side list because it just hasn't given it enough yet, but it's the same exact pattern that we just talked about in SNCA. That gap up that almost comes right back down to where that gap started from because of needing to build even more. And then we're going to be looking for that trigger back to the upside. Only problem here is that we don't really have great prints above. Okay, you have that little bit that came in at the 4. We just really don't have the greatest buying up above as we've been coming back down. But they haven't been using a lot of shares to do it. A few prints have been gone a long way, especially when it's not a stock that has a hard time showing a lot of orders at these levels and having those thick orders. So again, just same type of pattern. We looked at that gap, we come back down and then end up coming back towards that upside. So it's a variable that comes into it. Is it a variable to just take a trade? Absolutely not. We're still going to need prints to come in, but it's in that type of setup. So we got some good things that are going on this morning. Other than that, guys, anything else out there that I missed? All right, as we've been seeing, we can see, pretty much from last week, a lot of what goes on was happening pretty early in the day, and we've been seeing maybe 1 or 2 trades coming into the afternoon. So guess what? No reason to force a ton of trades. If on average you make 10 trades and the days are just coming to, to be a little bit slower, guess what? You're not going to make as many. There's not going to be as many out there. So that's a focus that we definitely need to have, especially going into summertime type trading, especially after we get past April, we get into May, things definitely slow down. Now, last year, we're also in a different world. Last year, we had some of the best summertime trading I've ever seen as a trader before. So we're going to see what happens, but guess what? At the end of the day, it does not matter. What we're going to look for is our consistency, our high probability trades day in and day out. I don't care if there's 2 of them or if there's 15 of them. 15 obviously makes a better day, but on the days that there's 2 of them, we have to have more patience. So we need to go into the day understanding that. Side HOFV. Yeah, I mean, it's got all the variables coming into it. Unfortunately, I didn't see anything, and it's almost kind of in that same type of pattern. I mean, it traded in the aftermarket as well, but almost that same type of pattern. So we'll put it on a side list. HOFV. I don't see it. I can't go back, but I don't see any type of show of hands here yet. Doesn't look like. No, not yet. And then MRKR. I haven't heard of this one in a while. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's sitting in a consolidation up above. It gapped up. The only thing is, unfortunately, it looks like that we didn't really get anything, and it didn't even try to attempt 3. And a lot of below the bid. All right, so we don't really have anything great there, but definitely something to keep an eye on. All right, guys, let's get ready for our morning. Remember everything we just talked about. And then we, other than that, guys, I'll talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.